Welcome to Live Like an Acrobat. I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto, two-time world champion in acrobatic gymnastics, USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame member, and Cirque artist. Please make sure to check out the Circuspreneurblog.com for extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. Please consider making a donation to encourage the continued growth, expansion, and evolution of this podcast. You can donate to Live Like an Acrobat through Venmo at SHENEA-BOOTH. We thank you in advance for your contribution. Please make sure to check out aerialfitbodies.com to sign up for my weekly advanced acro hand balancing classes every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There, you will also find bookings for private one-on-one handstand sessions with me, Shanae Stiletto. I believe that creating a strong foundation infused with traditional handstand methods coupled with innovation will give one the ability to diversify and explore hand balancing securely and confidently. On today's show, I have the absolute honor and pleasure of interviewing founder of Cyber Yoga, Lamonte Goode. My guest on today's show is very clear about his purpose, and that's what makes his conscious brand, Cyber Yoga and Neo Sutras, so powerful. Lamonte Goode is very clear about the underlying depth of what he's putting out into the world and lives, breathes, and loves through his ethos. One can only make such a profound impact, in my opinion, with developing a brand and community of that brand with an understanding of their true calling. It's more than just running a business or exploiting a trend. It's a feeling of being in service to others that bridges the gap between go-getter and soulpreneur. My conversation with Lamonte Goode of Cyber Yoga was quite an emotional one. For all of those struggling right now through the multifaceted aspects of humaning and finding tools to source through the innate suffering that is awareness in this physical body, you will find comfort in Lamonte's struggle because his pain through a dark night of the soul, which can be a season, reason, or a lifetime for some, will bring light to the shared experience of our collective suffering and also the micro-suffering that one experiences as well, as we peel back the layers of our humanistic onion of personality, identities, and life lessons and assumed states of consciousness during this lifetime. To put it in a more grounded perspective, moving through the world as others see you and define you, and the impact that ensues as you balance that with how you see yourself. Please welcome to the show, Lamonte Goode. With 69,000 Instagram followers and counting, Lamonte Goode, more commonly known as just Cyber Yoga, is the artistic director, founder, and creator of a type of movement that some would say defies gravity. Cyber is an acronym for Calisthenics, Yoga, Breakdance, Evolution, Revolution, and beyond. Goode combines movement with spirituality and art in a unique practice that many athletes and dancers all over the world indulge into. Yoga binds everything together in this new age spiritual practice, which is based on the foundation of yoga. However, it transforms into a futuristic kind of movement. Originally from Akron, Ohio, and dancing since high school, Lamonte now calls Los Angeles his home and has appeared in films, commercials, TV shows, as well as music videos for notorious artists like Rihanna, Shakira, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Wyclef Jean. A champion of the belief that anyone can do anything they put their mind to, Lamonte creates with the purpose to inspire. This keeps him growing, and he hopes to successfully pass this philosophy to his students. A self-taught dancer with love for atypical movement and anything that can be considered as out of ordinary and unique, Lamonte has been performing in live showcases and competitions since 1996. He is also an internationally recognized handstand and arm balancing expert. Lamonte takes pride in teaching and holds workshops and clinics in Los Angeles and all over the world. He vigorously trains himself daily, competes, and performs. His creativity is deeply inspired by art, architecture, nature, and the fluidity of the human body and what it can produce when, together with the mind, it is pushed beyond the limit. Goode is available for private lessons as well as group workshops and demonstrations anywhere in the world, and aspires to share his knowledge and expand the minds and bodily strength of others through his revolutionary practice. Cyber Yoga, at the moment, encompasses 2 different types of classes. The first focuses on unique movement and advanced inversions, core control, strength building, coordination, headstands, and the traditional art of hand balancing. The second offers innovative dance movement through a fusion of abstract breakdance, contemporary, modern, and acrobatic movement. All classes are for all levels. The only prerequisite is an open mind and the desire to extend the abilities of your body. Please welcome my special guest, founder, CEO, and creator of Cyber Yoga and Neo Sutras, Lamonte Goode.
Hi, Lamonte. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Shania. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. I want to honor you as a fellow hand balancer onto the show. And I also want to quickly proclaim that I love your acro yoga partner. She reminds me of Bjork, a.k.a. the Icelandic muse of the universe.
Oh, my God. So sweet. Yeah, she's from Siberia. So she has a very unique look. So thank you.
Oh, Siberia. Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed. But she's so beautiful. She's so Ileanic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, she's my partner in crime. So we get a lot of stuff done and create a lot. And yeah, we're really inspired to have her.
Oh, it must be. It looks like such an amazingly synchronistic partnership. So I bless you both on that partnership together.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt like it was fate when we had met. I had reached out to her on Instagram, and she liked my work, and I was like, hey, you know what, we should start collaborating and see what happens. And we got into the studio. We started just creating a lot of magic, and we started to create a lot of amazing concepts. And we, got really involved with each other, and things just kind of happened. It was really meant to be. We started to just create left and right. It was like a guide. It was almost. We just got a bunch of downloads, information, and we're like, okay, you know what, we can create this and create that, and kind of just one thing kind of fell into another, and from there it actually kind of just evolved, and now we are with Neo Sutras, and Neo Sutras is primarily a partner-based dance, I would say, movement, spirituality movement, technology, progression, evolution, consciousness, dance movement. So we've actually focused on creating this movement for couples for the world, all over the world. It doesn't matter, big, fat, small, skinny, whatever. This is just primarily for couples, male and female or whatever. Just love doesn't matter, but it's just mainly for partners, creating a new way of connection, cultivation, sensitivity, connection, love, sensuality, but more on a conscious level.
That's beautiful, and especially right now as couples are incredibly triggered, spending so many hours together, and I think rediscovering one another in so many ways. And what a beautiful way it would be to rediscover one another through the system and through the guidance that you have set up with your beautiful partner. That would be an incredibly healing system for those out there right now who are struggling to maintain partnership and interconnection with one another during such challenging times. So that sounds That sounds amazing, like an amazing resource.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's funny because in the beginning, we were creating and then put out a video, you know, it went viral, it went really nice. But then, you know, the year following, not a lot of traction. But when COVID happened, we realized that this is like the perfect technology for like couples because people need it. And right now, everybody's getting, you know, frustrated with each other. So we just really understood that this timing of this creation was more important now than ever because it's meant for people to be together. Like when they're having hardships or hard times, this is a practice that you use to enhance your connection with your partner. And that's what Neo Sutras is all about. It's about new sutras, Neo, new, and sutras, like, you know, the new language.
Thank you for bringing that forth. Thank you. So that's all wonderful, Lamont, and it was a very peace-inducing virtual connection that we had during the Ace Speaks panel discussion created by founder Masha Barenboim, which focused on the conversation, which focused on the conversation of taking a racial evolutionary stance for Black artists within the entertainment industry in Los Angeles and beyond. Lamont, you were one of the panelists, and what you shared about your experience with the plant medicine ayahuasca really struck a chord with not just me, but with everyone on the call. Yes, you sent out a vibrational SOS for all of those struggling with intense and deep racial trauma. Specifically within that conversation, you focused on the healing of Black men, but the sacred space that you have taken part in is open to all. I myself have had a history with the plant medicine ayahuasca, and I've been fortunate. Yes, and I've been fortunate to have dear friends that studied in Peru and made profound connections with shamans, and then went on to invite me into safe spaces to sit in ceremony. I've never taken the full medicine. Thank you so much. I've never taken the full medicine. I've only drank lightly because during the interactions at the time, I followed my heart around how much I felt called to partake. But I've sat within the ceremonies in deep meditation and been witness to others partaking fully. The experience with the shaman, I think, is unlike anything else. It really is. And the effects on the lives close to me who journeyed with the plant medicine several times or even just once is enough to initiate deep healing. I want to add that this is not a superficial practice, and it is to be taken very seriously with trained professionals, and that a guide worthy of walking you in and out of this cosmic wandering must be incredibly skilled, experienced, and knowledgeable. I'm mostly, outside of those I know within certain plant medicine circles, am inspired by the work of Dr. Gabor Mate on the topic of ayahuasca ceremony and its ability to heal deep trauma. For those unfamiliar with Dr. Gabor Mate, he is a revolutionary on the topic of childhood trauma and its lasting effects, which present themselves as addictions later in life. He hosts sacred plant medicine ceremonies and is a tremendous resource for the connection between our inner and practical outer lives. Lamont, I want you to share with listeners your journey and experiences with ayahuasca in relation to the sacred space that you're a part of. And I want to say particularly that your perspective is very important because there are so few Black people that are in these conversations or who have access, as this is typically quite an expensive ceremony to partake in. I know that it's continuing to widen, but access to something so beneficial still, unfortunately, continues mostly to be limited to a few within certain demographics. So if you would please expand on what you shared with the panel, Lamont.
Of course, it's my honor. Thank you so much. I'm happy to share this. I felt like, I would say about 7-8 years ago, someone had mentioned something about ayahuasca. I was on some job somewhere, and someone was talking about plant medicine. And I was like, oh, it sounds really interesting. But previously, before that, I always knew and felt that there's something more to this matrix reality than I knew. Like, I knew there was something else, but I wasn't able to really fully comprehend and, like, understand what's happening. I felt like there was, like, a veil. There was just, like, I felt like I just knew and felt like there was something else. Okay, so fast forward to the conversation, someone that mentioned something about ayahuasca. So it kind of like, it stayed in my head for a couple of years, and I was thinking, wow, like, how would it be to really face yourself and really face your hardships, face your demons, face your like obstacles, but really face yourself, like really. And to me, at the time, it was very it was terrifying, because I know it was like, facing my true self was not going to be easy. And I guess it's just law of attraction. Years that passed by, and my current girlfriend had mentioned that she was going to be doing ayahuasca, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's going to be doing it. So it was like a clear indication and like sign that Aya has been calling me for a long time, but I was always kind of like dodging her, kind of like afraid. And anyway, my girlfriend had did her first ceremony. I believe she did 2 ceremonies that weekend. She did 2 of the ayahuasca, and then she did Hochuma, San Pedro. She did both those. And what really inspired me was the second day I picked her up, the conversations that we had were so, I would say, like, advanced. Her thought process and what she was saying was so advanced to me that it actually inspired me to do ayahuasca. I knew it was like, okay, it's time for me to do it. It's a clear sign. Aya's talking to me. It's time to take action. And so there was another ceremony that was happening, and so I had joined. I did the first one. I was terrified. And a week prior, I was going through a bunch of emotions, and I couldn't really, like, understand why I was feeling all these things. I just felt, like, really emotional. I felt like my body was on edge. And I don't know whether I was, like, nervous about the ceremony or, like, I was kind of, like, preparing me for what's going to happen. So I did my first ceremony. The first night I was, like, terrified and scared, but I believe and truly feel that Aya will give you what you can only handle at that moment. And so the first night was really incredible. She showed me peace and bliss and, like, understanding it, and, like, how amazing nature and earth is, and how everything is, like, interconnected. And I understood and felt, like, the love, like, love is the highest vibration. Love is the truth. Like, love is everything. Whatever you're going through, love will always be the highest vibration and the highest frequency. And so I understood that the first ceremony, and then the day after I did San Pedro, and that was incredible. That was really amazing. It was really profound. So I got some from there, and I was like, you know what? I do ayahuasca. I felt like it was great, but I didn't really go into the depth of what was possible. And so I knew, I was like, you know what? I have to do another ceremony. So I did another one with my girlfriend. And the second time is when I feel like Aya showed me, she really showed me her true self. And it was so profound. The information and the technology and the vastness of knowledge. It's weird because she was speaking to me in a way of communication that I can't even really describe in words. It's like a language that's not sight, not sound or smell. It's another sense that I can't even comprehend. But this is like the dimension and a level that I understood where I was. And I understood that I was visited by these entities that give me the inspiration and downloads for what I create with Cyber Yoga. Like, I met these entities, and they are like they're like interdimensional machines. I would say they remind me of like the Transformers. The actual like cartoon toys, like those machines, that actually kind of like transform. It was like the Transformers. And it's so funny because I was fascinated with like Transformers my whole life. Like, I was fascinated with like machines and technologies and like certain colors and how things would like transform. And I understood that they were like communicating to me, and I understood that they're giving me downloads because I create a lot of shapes with my body. So I create a lot of like what I call them is like cyberglyphs, and so they're basically encoded messages in these poses that I create. And I knew and felt that these are the entities that are actually responsible for giving me all these downloads. So I met them, and they were just like showing me like who they are and like how long they've been around. And I understood that they're responsible for almost like creating, you know, like the pyramids, or giving knowledge to these people to create the pyramids. So they're in hand with the creation of this process. And it dawned on me, because I've been in the hip hop culture for a long time, like 20 plus years, and I understood that hip hop culture is not just hip hop, but it's something that's been around for since the dawn of time. It's a technology to advance the human race. And so hip hop has different elements, which is like the b-boy, which is like the most amazing dance form. The street dance is very advanced, but it's almost like on the level of where it is now. It's superhuman feats of like ability and agility. And so that's the b-boying, the graffitiing, the people that write on the walls, create these amazing murals. I understood that that the graffiti was like not even words, but it's a language, and they exist in another dimension, in the form, and people get the downloads and just, they recreate it, then the DJs, how they can change the music and sound and manipulate tracks and stuff like that, music and frequency. And then there's an MC, which is able to conjure lyrics and words and make it in a rhyme and rhythm and create like amazing language. And then there's like the last element, which is like that nobody talks about, which is the knowledge. The knowledge, like that's the seventh one, which is knowledge, which should be like in everything in hip hop. Like you should be able to knowledge. And I felt like the system came in and changed the way hip hop was supposed to be, which is about evolution, everybody together, progression of the arts. But now it's kind of turn a back seat, and now we have like trap music, and we have this like mumble rap, and it's just on the wrong frequency. But anyway, I understood all that from the first night, the second night of the ayahuasca ceremony. The second night I understood and got the downloads, and it was profound because she really showed me herself, and she showed me her true self, and it was incredible. And the feeling and sense I had was like everything was just alive. There's so much life in everything. And then the second day I did Wachuma, San Pedro, and that was amazing. That was profound. And that's kind of like the father medicine, kind of like it's the opposite of ayahuasca. The second day was amazing, and I understood that how amazing the human body is. It's a piece of amazing technology and craftsmanship, and how we need to learn how to embody it and learn how to cultivate it and to honor ourselves, honor our bodies. And so I just realized about, certain diets and certain foods and things, like how we need to really like honor our body, because it's amazing technology, and we have to really honor it and respect it. And then there was, then I did the third ceremony, which was the most profound one. And this was during COVID-19. And the reason why I wanted to do the third ceremony, because I kind of want to gain more clarity on what's happening with COVID-19. Because I look at it like COVID-19 is either a pandemic crisis, or it's an awakening for humanity and those that are like open enough to like really see how deep it is and how there's layers. So that's the reason why I got into it. I did it. And so the first night was really profound. I went in it asking for clarity, because every time you do a ceremony, you ask for, you set the intention of what you want to experience and what you want to learn. So my intention was straight up just clarity. I was like, I need clarity. And it wasn't very specific, but I was like, I need clarity on myself and what's happening, what's going on. And wow. How can I put this? I thought, well, my whole life, I've had my hardships, of course, being African American, being Black, experiencing racism, hardships, and experiencing anger. Not really sure why I had so much anger in my life, but of course, being, raised in a broken home, and your stepdad used to like beat us and punch us and hit us and very abusive. dealing with that, but I still felt I had this anger that I couldn't really pinpoint why I had. As a kid, I had a lot of anger, and I really didn't understand why I had so much anger. And it wasn't until this third ceremony that I understood that Aya had showed me. She took me through 2 lifetimes, and they're very they're like specific for me to like learn the lesson. She showed me 2 lifetimes, and one of them was I was a general in the insect species. I was like this highly decorated general ant. It sounds funny, but it's so profound, and it was in relation to what I was dealing with, because during that ceremony, I hurt my back about 2 weeks ago really bad. I had like pulled a muscle on my back. It was really bad, painful. I couldn't walk, and I was just dealing with a lot of pain. And I understood why things were happening. And she was showing me that in one of my lifetimes as this general ant, I was highly decorated, that I had got injured, and it was really traumatic on myself and my peers and the colony of the ants, and it was kind of like the same situation that happened then now to me, but it was like she was showing me how I have to do certain things different and to change the way I do my training to learn the lesson. And I understood through this ceremony that my lineage has always have been of royalty. So every lifetime I've had has always been of royalty and like regal. Like I was always very powerful and had a lot of influence on a lot of people. So that was one of the lifetimes that she showed me. And the second one was the most traumatic. And the reason why I understood why I had so much anger and so much resentment is because the second lifetime that she showed me, I had a life where I was a Native American chief, and I had like a family and kids, and I had my tribe, and my family and kids were slaughtered. My tribe was slaughtered, and the white settlers had came in and like came over and just like took over everything and like killed all my people. And so I felt that I had like this deep anger and like resentment with God because he took away everything that I loved. And so I had this anger and rage. And when I was in the ceremony, one of the members of the ceremony had a sound bath drum, and she was like using the sound bath, and the sound bath intensified the journey. And so I was going through a lot of trauma. So all of these lifetimes and years, like lifetimes, like I would say, I can't even say how many lifetimes. Okay, I'm going to just say lifetimes. Lifetimes of trauma that were dormant and that were suppressed in my soul was released. It was like a flood of these emotions that I have not remembered in a very long time, but they had came back, and it was traumatic, and my body was shaking. I was shaking, my hands, my legs. I was crying, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, well, why do I feel this? Like, what's going on? And I understood that the soul stores information and memory, and every time you're incarnated, you're like in a new vessel or body. The soul cuts off the information that you've had before, so it's like it's almost like a reset. So it's not so much information that you can like retain in the next life, but they cut it off. So anyway, during my ceremony, I was just flooded with all this anger and rage and depression and sadness. Something I haven't even felt in this lifetime before, but it was so traumatic. And I just started crying, started letting everything came out. And it was in relation to everything with COVID, because I felt like it was like another situation happening, but now it's like it's like COVID. Like I feel like the system is taking away our humanity and our freedom, and they're like suppressing us. And I just felt and understood that there's a connection from this one lifetime to now. And I'm like, I'm like, God, like, why? Give me a second. I was like, God, why are you allowing this to happen?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why are you allowing so much suffering?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you allowing this? Why do we have to wear a mask? Why are we not free? Why am I going through all this pain? What are you showing me? I don't understand. What's the message? And my girlfriend was going through her ceremony, and she had came out of her situation, and she was next to me, and it was almost like she was going through her ceremony for her to segue to help me, because at a point in time I felt like I was giving up.
Wow.
And I remember telling God and my girlfriend, I'm like, I'm sick of fighting. I'm sick of fighting. I'm sick of fighting. I'm sick of war. I'm sick of fighting. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm sick of fighting. And my girlfriend was telling me, she's like, let it go. Like, you don't have to fight anymore. She was like, just give it to God. Like, you don't have to fight anymore. Why are you fighting? Just let go. And I felt like I listened to what she said, but like I felt like I was letting go so much that I felt like I could have died in a ceremony. Because if she wasn't there, I felt and knew that I was probably going to die, because I gave up to the point where I didn't want to fight anymore. Like, I was sick of fighting. But then something was like, no, Lamont, it's not your time yet. You have to fight. You have to fight. Your journey, your job is not done yet. You have work to do. And so I was fighting to come out of this. I didn't want to transition yet. So I was fighting, and I fought to, like, stay alive, because I knew that I have more things to do, more important things to do in this life. So, and so that's what Aya was showing me. She was like, you have to let go of the pain and the trauma. You have to let go of this trauma and pain. You have to let go of it, because it's not serving you anymore. Focus on love, focus on peace, focus on God's words. And so that ceremony had happened, really profound, really powerful. And then I think about 2 weeks later is when all the George Floyd racism rioting happened. And so when all that happened, I knew that it was like she was mentally preparing me for what was going to happen with the whole George Floyd and the racism about black men being killed. And I was able to understand and deal with the whole situation with not having anger or like frustration, but just understanding how to deal with it on a different level. And I understood that I cannot not learn the lesson again. I had to apply the learnings and the lessons of what I had showed me to that present of with the whole crisis with the racism. She had showed me how to deal with it. And she showed me how to let go of all this anger and rage I've had for a long time, many lifetimes. And she only showed me 2 lifetimes. And I know there's many more. But as I said it before, like, Aya shows you what you need to see and like what you need to work on to to apply to your life. Because my girlfriend at the time, she was dealing with some really dark stuff. But by her dealing with her darkness, she transitioned to helping me come out of my darkness. And so even though still now I still have, it hasn't been easy, but I think like it's the biggest blessing because I asked for clarity and I got it. And I know that I'm I know that I'm tapping into not even like a nano fraction of what else there is. 'Cause I know there's more, and I know that she's only showing me, you know, what I can handle. The day after I did Hachuma, San Pedro, and what I got from that is that I'm a dancer, so I'm into movement and like creativity, and my brand is Cyber Yoga and like Neo Sutras. So what I do, I get these downloads of like information of like concepts of movement and concepts of different shapes and geometry, but it's through movement and dance. And I got a message from, I don't know, call me crazy, but I felt like I got a message from the Palladians, like this super advanced species, race. And they were like, communicate with me saying that, Lamont, like your movements have to be softer, more gentler in a way, because I understand that movement itself can cause either trauma or cause peace to somebody that's viewing it. So I understood that all the movements that I do now have to be more of the intention of peace, positivity, and love, more grace, as opposed to being more rigid and more robotic, but more human-like. And they're telling me, Lamont, like, you should start moving more like this because it's going to heal you. So this is why I turned and then I adopted like a new form of movement. It's called CIM. It's Conscious Intelligent Movement. That the intentions of the movements that I do are meant to heal. Because before post-I and all that, you know, I was into b-boying, breakdance, which is like a street dancer, and sometimes it's very aggressive and you have to battle your opponent. Battle means you do your moves against somebody else to make them feel bad. And so what I understood is that this aggression in dance it hasn't been serving me. Of course, like, I love the training and I love like proving myself, but I understood that my dance and my movement can be used for something higher, a greater purpose besides just making somebody feel inferior because my moves are better. So like I wanted to inspire somebody with my movements. And so this is what I got from these entities, super advanced, on some ship and another. Actually, somebody just talk to me and say, come on, that's what you have to do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lamont, for coming onto the show and for taking us on this new age ride of awareness through movement, sacred ceremony, and peaceful warrior guidance. I'm grateful that there are those like yourself who refuse to be defined by anything other than who you are at the deepest level of your being. Please continue to shine on and illuminate for others every ounce of who you are within this three-dimensional world. Cast a vibrational spell that sends ripples of love and transformation into the universe for lifetimes. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable, for these revelations, for these insights, and for your capacity to be such a profound light and channel unto us all, Lamont. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I'm glad I could share. I definitely do more ceremonies because I feel like this is what I want to do, and I got a message from her that I'm a healer. So I definitely want to keep on doing that and explore myself to help and benefit others. I feel like has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And the first time I ever felt peace and clarity and I felt like nature and color. So I felt really dark for a long time, and she put color back in my life, and I'm so grateful. And I've like had two of my friends come on and get ceremonies, and their lives has been changed because I was telling me, hey, you need to contact these two people, contact this person right away. So right away after ceremony, I contacted this person, and my friend was dealing with a lot of bad things, meth, alcoholism, dark place. He needed guidance. He did programs, read books, went to seminars, nothing's helped him. And right away she was like, talk to this guy. I talked to him. I had one conversation with him, and he started bawling, crying because he felt like I understood him. And he did a ceremony about 2 weeks ago. His life has completely changed. He's a new person. A new person. High on life. So grateful. And I felt like if everybody was to experience Aya and Ochuma with the right intention, I feel like the world would be a different place.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Live Like an Acrobat, where I interviewed special guest, creator of cyber yoga, Lamonte Goode. I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto, and until next time, please stay safe and stay healthy.